In this quick structure bench demo video, we're going to turn this model in Blender of the Dashinwan Bridge over the Yangtze River into this model over in Structure Bench. And this is going to showcase the OBJ model import feature that has just shipped in Structure Bench. So Blender is a fantastic tool for generating your structural models. If we take a look at a model like this, a bridge like this, if we were to try and generate this line diagram model over in Structure Bench or any structural analysis software, typically, or more or less any structural analysis software, it would be a painful process because we'd have to basically enter in all of the different nodal positions and then join all of those various different positions to create the different members in the structure, and it's a really laborious process. So that's where a tool like Blender comes in really helpful. Blender has I would say best-in-class 3D modeling tools. Now in this case, we're just generating a 2D model or 2D representation of this bridge structure. But whether you're modeling in 2D or 3D, Blender is a great first choice tool for going and generating your model. Then all you have to do is take that model and bring it into your modeling software of choice. And so we've built an OBJ model importer into Structure Bench, which makes it really easy to get your models over into Structure Bench. Now, this isn't going to be a Blender modeling tutorial. I don't propose to remodel all of this. This is probably the work of maybe 10-15 minutes to generate this model. I've just got a reference image that I've sourced online, brought it into Blender as a reference image, and then I've basically just built the structure over that reference image, making use of some of Blender's modifiers, the mirror modifier, etc., just to generate a symmetrical model that approximates the actual bridge. Now, the model that we're actually going to bring into Structure Bench is going to be twice the size of this model. So this is modeled at half scale. So I just duplicated it and then scaled it by a factor of 2, and that gets us up to this model, which is actually the one we're going to generate our OBJ file from. So in order to generate my OBJ file with the model selected, I'll just go to File and Export, and I'll select Wavefront OBJ, and then we can basically specify the location that we want to send the OBJ file to, and then any options. Now this is going to be very simple for us. We just have a simple 2D line diagram structure. I'm going to include what I've selected in the 3D viewport in my OBJ file. I don't need to take anything else here. I don't want materials, I don't want animation data. It's just a very simple export, and with that we can use the default name and then just export, and then we can jump over to Structure Bench. So in Structure Bench, this is a version of that model that I generated previously. So we'll leave that guy and just go back to the dashboard, which is your sort of starting point. So if I was in my dashboard here, what I might do is go and create a new project, or in my case, I'll just go into my demo models project and I'll create a new model in here. So we'll just go new model. We are dealing with a 2D frame model, so that's fine. And then we can just give it a name. Let's just call this import demo and create. So now in the 2D modeling workspace, I want to import, click import OBJ. I'll select the file I want to import and hit open. Now I've got a couple of import options. Now because I modeled my model over in Blender with 1 unit equaling 1 meter, I can just leave the unit scale at meters. I'll leave the drawing plane as the default drawing plane. It's set up to match what Blender exports as the 2D plane when you model your structure in sort of front view as the modeling plane. Now we have options to flip our model horizontally or vertically. Obviously we don't need to do that. And then what default member type do we want to apply to all of the members in our model? We could assume that all of our members are framed, or we could, in other words, flexural members, or we could assume that all of the members are truss members, or in other words, they only resist axial load. Now for this particular structure, I think it makes sense to default all of our members to truss members. We get a little few metrics here about our model, how many nodes, how many members it has, and its bounding box size. So with all that set, we can just hit import and we get our model inside a Structure Bench straight away. So again, you can imagine, if I just turn off my member labels and node labels, you can imagine generating this model manually would be a real effort, to be a laborious task. because if I bring up my nodes panel here, you'd see that I'd have to add in all of these nodes manually. So there's, what did we say there was, 255 nodes. So, you know, that would be a painful process that nobody wants to do. So the OBJ importer gets you out of that nice and easy. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to specify which members are going to be beam members. We noticed that all of the members came in as axially loaded members, truss members, and we know that by the little circle that they have on either end of the member, which is indicating the rotational freedom or lack of rotational restraint we have on either end of the member. But I want all of these deck members here to be flexural members. So I will basically select them all in one go and change them all in one operation. So wherever possible, we've tried to implement the same user experience, I suppose you'd say, as Blender. So if I was working in Blender here and I wanted to select all of these members, what I would do is I'd box select. So with select activated here, I'm going to hit B to box select, and then I'm just going to click and drag, and that was going to select all of the nodes. Now I don't actually want to select nodes, I want to select members. So I can basically just click this button here, and that'll change that to member select. And with that, we've selected only the beam members, the deck members that we want to turn into beam or flexural members. But we notice that we have some additional selections down here. So what I can do with that is I can deselect those using box select as well. So if I hold command and click and drag, that will deselect. It will give me a deselect box, which is red. So if I just do the same here and the same here, I'm just holding command and click and dragging, and that's deselecting those guys. So now I've got my deck selected. I can come over here and bulk edit those members. Now I could change their material. We've only got one material, the default material. We didn't bother adding any new ones. We've got our default section. Again, we could change that. We could add more sections, and you know, if you were building a more robust version of this particular structure, model of this structure, you'd have different section types for your tie members here. Your deck would be different section type. You'd have, you know, potentially different top and bottom chord members or sections, etc., etc. But for the purposes of this demo, we'll just use the default section. What I do want to change is I want to change those from a truss to a frame member. Okay, so that's basically it complete. Now, one additional feature that I want to just show you here, which is really helpful, is that we can color the members in this structure by a number of different properties. So for example, I can color them by the section type. Now they're all the one section, so they'll all show up the same color, but that's really, really helpful if you have a more elaborate model. And I've got one 3D model that I'm working on at the minute, which is a multi-span hit and miss portal frame, where we've got one of the portals is a longer or a wider span, a larger span, and then there are a number of different adjoining portals which are a smaller span. Now that particular model it's got different types of columns, it's got different types of rafters, it's got valley beams, it's got ridge beams, it's got bracing elements, and they're all going to be different section types. And so being able to color that model or the members in the model by section type and have a little legend down in the bottom left here, which basically shows you what color corresponds to what section, is really, really helpful. Now in this case it doesn't really matter, but one option that will be helpful here is to color them by member type. And so we can see when we do that, we've got our bottom deck in one color here, this purpley color, and then indicating that is a flexural member, or those are flexural members, and then we've got the rest in yellow indicating axially loaded members. So again, just a kind of a quality of life feature that just makes things a little bit easier when you're modeling larger structures. Okay, next thing we want to do is add some supports to this thing. So I'll come to my supports tab here, and I'm just going to click directly. I could add the supports down here in the table, or I can just click on the nodes. Now I'm just going to, for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to assume that is going to be a pin support, and then the rest of these are going to be roller supports. So I'll just click on that node there, double click down here, gets me a roller, and then a roller here, and we can see they're automatically added to the table. So let's X out of that. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do, just to rattle through and wrap up this demo nice and quickly, is to add some loads. So I'm going to come to my loads panel again. That brings us up to the sort of bottom panel here where we can add the loads. Just first of all, what I'll do on the left side here is I'll add the self-weight load case. So that's going to automatically calculate self-weight loads and add them to the members. So for axially loaded members, we'll get a point load on either end in the vertical direction on either end of that member, which will be half of the self-weight of the member. And for flexural members, we'll get a distributed load, a uniformly distributed load acting in the vertical direction along the length of the member. Next up, we want to, well, we already have a default dead load case, so we'll use that for the application of some loading onto the deck. Now again, we want to select that deck. I'm going to turn off color by member type. I'm going to go back to select, box select again, and this time I want to select all of my deck members. Now you can see because I was in member select and my box captured a lot of additional members, I've got a lot of additional members selected. No problem, we'll just hit command and then click and drag again, and we've deselected too many members there. Let's try that one more time. So we'll select the deck and let's deselect all of the members above the deck, and just be careful to deselect these lads down here. Okay, all right, so let's just add some distributed load, uniformly distributed load to that deck. Come back to the load panel, select our distributed loads. It's the dead load case. It's all of the 100 selected members. It doesn't matter what magnitude we make this or what load intensity we use here. It's just really for a quick demo. Let's say minus 10 kilonewtons per meter at the start of each of those distributed loads on the individual members, and then minus 10 at the end magnitude. So obviously it's a uniformly distributed load. So we'll just hit add, and that adds all of that, all of those distributed loads onto the members. So we can close that, hit F to frame the structure, and we're pretty much ready to hit solve. So I'll just save my structure now and hit solve. And we get our results back. So by default, our applied loads are turned on, our deformed shape is turned on, and our reactions are turned on. Now we're viewing loads for, or we're viewing results for the dead load case. I didn't bother adding any load combinations or envelopes. Of course, we could add different load cases and combine those in combinations and then view the results for those, but we've done that in another video, so I don't really want to repeat that here. So we could also look at the self-weight. So you can see when we look at the self-weight, you can actually see the loads that are applied. So for all of our axially loaded members, you can see we've got a point load at the end of each member. Of course, you've got an accumulation of self-weights for the different members joining into this node here, adding up to that load there. Let's just increase the size of those so we can see them a bit better. And then of course there's your distributed load for the members or for the beam members. And of course we could view the results for that. So the deflection of this thing under self-weight is, you know, a fairly intuitive deflection, as you might expect. The deck, or the deflection due to dead load, is going to be something similar obviously as well. What else is worth looking at before we wrap up here? Let's turn off deflection, turn off reactions, and go to axial force. Let's turn off the labels just so we can get a feel for what's happening. And of course we've got the kind of behavior that we would expect. So we've got compression on the top over the apex of the arch here, tension on the underside. That switches to compression in this element of the arch here and here. Again, we're not really digging into or trying to decipher the structural response of this structure. Really all I want to do here is just to show you the workflow from start to finish of getting a model in from Blender. So with that said, we're more or less done. I don't really have anything else that I want to demo in this video. So the model is saved. We could share the model, we could put it into the library. It's already in the library. If you have you want to share the model with somebody else, you can just create a share link. If you want to embed the model somewhere, you can use this iframe code to embed it if that's something that you want to do. So I won't put it in the public library because I already have a version in the public library, so we'll just X out that. And with that, I think that's everything we wanted to cover. So I hope that's helpful. I'll showcase the 3D OBJ import now in another video in the not too distant future. So head over to structurebench.com, give it a go. It's completely free. There is no sign up required, no email required, nothing like that. You can head over there and jump straight into this 2D modeling workflow or the 3D modeling workflow if you prefer. Or head over to the model library and have a scan through the various different models. You can preview all of the models there. Again, no account needed, no emails needed, nothing like that. In fact, I'll quickly jump over there to the model library. So you can, these are some of the 3D models that you can go in, take a look at, preview them. Again, if you're curious, just go and have a look. So with all that said, I'll sign off for now, and I'll see you in another demo video in the not too distant future. Take it easy.